Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Kenny.
All right, looks like we're all here. You're free to start when you'd like, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we will call to order the virtual meeting Wednesday, February 24th, 2021, 7 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wynn,
Present.
Commissioner Lamica,
Present.
Commissioner Silva,
Present.
Commissioner Evans,
Present.
Vice Chair Spalletta,
Present.
Chair Owens,
Present.
and for the record, Mr. Dodson is taking an extended leave of absence, which is approved. So for the record, we have quorum.
And our best wishes go to Commissioner Dodson.
Agreed.
Okay, let's see here. We've got roll call. Review of agenda. If there's any items that have arose after the 72-hour posting deadline, this is the point in the meeting where a vote may be taken to add the item to the agenda. A 2 to 3 majority vote is required. Anything, staff?
No, I'm not aware of anything, sir.
Very good. Public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the board on matters within the jurisdiction of the city of Seaside, but not on the agenda, may do so during the public comment period for up to 2 minutes. Public comments on specific agenda items are heard under that item. For the public record, please state your name. Anybody for public comment?
If you're participating live on the webinar and you'd like to make a comment, please use the raise hand feature and I'll call on you to unmute you. For the record, no one is wanting to raise their hand, but I did receive 2 public comments today. They were for the business item this evening and they have just been emailed to the entire commission. So I just want to make sure those are on the record.
Very good. I will check my email in just a second. Okay, public comment is still open. Seeing nobody for public comment, we will close public comment and bring it back to approval of minutes. Approval of December 16th, 2020 minutes. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
Oh, there you go. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I think Leslie has to take an individual roll. No?
Oh, that's right.
Sure. Okay, Commissioner Wynn,
Aye.
Commissioner Lamica,
Aye.
Commissioner Silva,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Vice Chair Spalletta. I saw the eye, but I think you were muted. One more time, sir.
Aye.
Thank you. Chair Owens,
Aye.
the motion carries unanimously.
Okay, approval of January 13th, 2021. I don't know about this, Leslie, because 2 of us weren't at this meeting. But I guess that leaves the 4, so they can go ahead and all abstain from it.
Yes, sir.
But meanwhile, do we have an approval for the 4 of you that were there? I believe chair and vice chair were not there.
I make a motion to approve the minutes on, I believe it was what, December 16th?
January 13th.
January 13th. Sorry about that.
Very good. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? You can just
Aye.
raise your hands if you want, and then Leslie will call a call.
Yeah, raise your hand. So I see Commissioner Evans, Lamica is a yes. Mr. Wynn, Mr. Silva is a yes. Mr. Spalletta? Oh, you're abstaining as well as Mr. Owens. Okay, so motion carries 4 yeses and 2 abstentions. Thank you.
Very good. We will move on to item 7, business items. Board of Architectural Review, application number BAR 20-12. Enrique Ecas, applicant, and Robert Morales, owner, are requesting an approval for a residential remodel in addition to an existing single-story, single-family resident located at 1180 Placer Street in the single-family residential RS12 zoning district. Project is seeking an add of a 400 square foot living room to the first floor and add a 665 second story consisting of 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, which are included. Staff?
Good evening, commissioners. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, this is Dana Morrison presenting today's item, Board of Architectural Review 2012. So this house was purchased by the homeowner, Robert Morales, in 2014. He did do some site improvements and some upgrades to the house later that year, 2015 as well. So the existing house is 1,407 square feet and is single story. It includes a 614 square foot garage. The lot is 5,500 square feet, and all of the surrounding uses are residential. There are no two-story additions on Placer at the moment. However, there is second-story residences in the neighboring vicinity along Hilby, Lopez, Teresa, and Sutter. And as you can see, this is a relatively flat neighborhood with no change in topography. Can get a look at the site plan and the area on the right, showing where it is located. Lopez Avenue to the north, Hilby Avenue to the south, Teresa Street to the east, and Sutter Street to the west. So the proposal is to add a ground floor addition consisting of 401 square feet, and then also adding a second story above that, which will be 665 square feet and will include 2 balconies along the western portion. So as this is a second story being proposed, it does require Board of Architectural review. So here we have the existing frontage on the left. It is 13 feet 8 inches tall, and they are showing the proposal on the right, adding the addition of the bottom living room, 401 square feet, and then adding a second story above. It is consistent with the FAR as well as lot coverage and setback requirements. So here is the demolition plan for the first floor. They will be removing this existing wall, which is the border of the existing living room, and they will be also demoing the downstairs master bathroom. And then they will be converting that bathroom into a walk-in closet. And then they will be adding in the new living room area, which includes a new front entry, and it will have a stairwell which leads up to the second story. So this blue area shows a rough estimation of where that second story and the bottom story addition is going to be placed. And this is the floor plan. So you have the stairwell coming up with an opening going down to the bottom, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and then the 2 balconies. This is the north elevation, so looking from the left, the existing elevation here, and then what the new elevation will look like with the balconies at the front. We have our east elevation. This is from the rear of the property. So you have the 2-story addition coming above the existing 13-foot, 8-inch back portion of the house. The south elevation, so this is looking from the right, and you can see the addition on the right. No changes are proposed to the actual house here. They are swapping out the door. So colors and materials, it is going to be matching to the existing house's finish. So for the door, we're going to match the existing garage door, so mahogany wood veneer. Going to carry on the existing stone, caramel stone veneer to the second story in various places to add added dimension. And then the paint colors will also be made to match. Victoria red for trim details, bungalow brown for the body, Floyd white for the accent pieces, and as well as whitest white for additional accent pieces. And then they are planning on using Tuscany series doors for the sliding windows and doors. So there's sliding doors for each of these balconies. And then there was also the one on the left elevation for going out into the side yard. The applicant did put up story poles to show a representation of how this is going to look en masse once constructed. It is set back well from where the garage is. The setback here is 28 feet and some odd inches, and the side setback is 5, both consistent with code. And the height is just under 24 feet, and the maximum height allowed is 24 feet. So it is consistent with all of our zoning code requirements. Here we have some photos from the neighborhood looking at at the actual proposed story poles so we can see the impact it will have on the view shed. So this is from the end of Placer Street looking towards the residence. As you can see, it's mostly screened by the existing trees there. Over here on the right, we're looking from Hilby down Placer Street, and you can see a little bit of the second story addition highlighted in the yellow box. This is also from Hilby looking directly north. And then over here we have from Teresa Street. It's blocked primarily by the trees, and then there's an actual further view from the west that was included in the attachments that shows a direct west rather than a northwest look, and it is blocked by the existing developments. And then these are photos taken from Sutter Street, which is further out, so you can see it's barely visible from there, and then not visible from Lopez, which is looking south because it's blocked by the existing houses along Lopez and those existing trees. We did include conditions of approval for the protection and any pruning of the trees that are located on that northern portion. We want to make sure that those are properly preserved and not impacted by this new development going up. At the time of the staff report, there weren't any comments received. I did have a chance to review those 2 emailed comments we did receive, and while they are from 2 separate people, they are both from the same address. It is this house here, 1192 Placer Street, the house with the trees. So there is, let me go back to, so as you can see, here we have 1192. This is the neighbor who submitted concerns about the development, opposing what is proposed. They are not supportive of the second story as it will impact their view. I didn't get a chance to go on 1192 to see the view from their front step. I don't know how much it does block of those views. I know those trees probably do block some of that view already. However, this development is consistent with our zoning code requirements. The applicant was cognizant in their placement of windows on the second story. As you can see, it's in the bedroom here in the front. There are no windows. This is a bathroom window. And then this is one window that looks out approximately towards the front portion of their house. If we're concerned about view requirements, we could ask that to be kind of a frosted window, or there might be some conditions we could add for that. And then the balconies are also located at the front. So really the views are towards the street, not into anyone's private backyard space. We do recommend approval of the project based on the draft resolution and attachments. The applicant, the owner is available for questions, as am I. So please let me know if you have any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Dana. Okay, we will open it up to the applicant at this time.
Dana, is Mr. Morales the applicant?
Mr. Morales is the property owner.
The property owner. Okay, great. Mr. Morales, you can unmute yourself and speak on the item.
Hello, can you hear?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Well, we're doing that application. Yes, they're great for have kids. Basically, it's for that. For I have 4 kids, and you know they're growing, and we wanna. They're sharing rooms right now, so we wanted to do that for. So we really appreciate if you guys accept this proposal, and I think it will give good impact to the street as well. And well, we always like to help community too.
Any questions for the applicant, commissioners?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morales. With that, we'll bring it back to the commissioner since nobody's online to talk, right, Leslie?
That is correct. There's no one else participating.
Okay. I just have one question. Is there any shading issues with this property on the other property that's, to me, it looked like there's plenty of room between them, either Beth or Dana.
It wasn't something which I analyzed, and I couldn't actually speak to it. I didn't do any calculations on shading, and if they do have solar, I don't have that documentation where I couldn't say otherwise.
I went by it and I didn't see any issues myself during the time that I was there. Seeing a second story on there wouldn't have any impact really to the house next door that I could see. But I just wanted to make sure of that.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
on the opposition emails, they're concerned about the solar aspect of the sunlight not getting to their house. And so Dana, it appeared to me that maybe the front third of that back portion of their home would be shaded, especially during parts of the year when the sun is more to directly south. But they still have, if I'm reading the plans right, they still have the entire back section that would not be shaded. Is that correct?
Danny, you're muted if you're talking.
Sorry about that.
Oh, there you are.
So here we can so in the aerial, I didn't notice that there is no solar from my aerial, and I didn't notice it when I went to do my site visit. But as you can see, the second story is right over this portion here, kind of in the center of where it lines up to the house. I don't know where they do have their solar located, because if it is in this back portion here, you know, most of your sun is coming from the south and east here in the morning.
Dana, I don't think they were talking about solar panels. They were just concerned about not having the sun hit their home, getting cold. And so it looked to me like there was plenty of room coming over what will remain a one story in the back and still hit 2/3 of their roof line and warm up their attic pretty well. But I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure that that's what you were seeing.
Yes, so I don't anticipate this addition causing more shading than what those trees already provide, essentially.
Thank you.
Commissioner, Chair,
Absolutely, Mr. Silva. Go ahead.
I was actually Dana kind of said what I was thinking, which was the two-story element mostly sits forward of the neighboring house. You know, maybe casting a shadow on their front porch or their front yard, but that's where they have those huge trees anyway, so it's already shaded. So, I mean, that was the one objection that I heard. I was most impressed by the picture that showed what the house looked like when they bought it and what it looks like today. They have already done a significant improvement to that property, a significant investment. It's very attractive, probably more attractive than a lot of the houses in the neighborhood. And I thought for a remodel, sometimes, you know, when you add something, you know, it looks clunky or it doesn't kind of fit. And I thought they did actually a very good job with the design to be consistent with the style of the house. I think it's an enhancement to the neighborhood. And having 4 kids myself, I get it. You know, you need space for kids. And I remember being at a Board of Architectural review when I was building a house for myself, and I thought it was very presumptuous for the guy sitting on the other side to be questioning whether I needed that much space. So I relate to the applicant very much. I think it looks like he's got a great plan, and it fits all of our requirements. So
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Mr. Hun?
I'd just like to thank Mr. Morales for submitting this clear and, you know, informative drawings. It's very, you know, it's a nice drawing. You know, the front, the back, It's very informative, and he's investing. I see a lot of investment improvements in this drawings in the construction, and I see. I mean, it's going to bring value to the surrounding neighborhood and enhance Seaside. So, you know, I just really think it's a good what to say, good investment in his part, and I'm for it. I think it's a good was it a build out second floor. So I have no problem with that.
Very good. Mr. Lamica.
I see no issues. I mean, I like the drawing of the second story, and he is updating the neighborhood by doing this. So I see no fault with that, especially, you know, that he's upgrading his current home to look even better.
Very good. Mr. Evans.
Sorry about that. I thought I'd already spoken. I frankly, when I went by, I was a little concerned about the owner overbuilding, which I noticed the neighbor also made that comment. So I don't think he's ever going to get his money back unless things continue to go the way they're going. But that's his choice if he wants to overbuild for the neighborhood. I do think that it's going to be a parking problem on that short little street, and I wish there was a way to expand that garage, but I just don't see, other than them parking a lot of cars in that front of the house, that they're going to solve the parking problem on that short little street. So those are my only concerns, but certainly not deal breakers.
Very good. Mr. Spalletta.
Yes, a good point with Commissioner Evans on the parking. I hadn't thought of that, but when those children get of driving age and everybody wants their car, that's going to be interesting. And to echo the previous commissioners and Commissioner Silva's words regarding the shading, when I saw that perspective of the aerial view, yeah, I don't anticipate that being an issue. I like the aesthetic. It wasn't overdone. I'm always fascinated by floor plans for a small footprint and how they can be best utilized. And I really did like the way it was drawn out and thought out. So I have no problems with this.
Very good. Okay, to me, I agree 100%. And looking at the parking right here, I see where you can fit 5 cars in that driveway even after the house is built. I went through this same thing that the owner is going through when I built mine, because my child was living in the dining room. And I totally have good feelings for him to get this thing through. I think it's an asset to the city of Seaside. It's a beautiful drawing. It's going to be a beautiful house, and hopefully it inspires the other houses to bring themselves up to its standards.
Exactly.
So, with that, I will put it up for vote. Is anybody going to?
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Oh,
We
yes,
haven't
ma'am.
opened it out to public comment yet.
Oh,
We invited the applicant to speak, but not public comment.
I thought I asked, and you
Anybody.
said that nobody was there for public comment.
Oh,
Okay.
you're right. I did. At that point, you're right. There was no one there. I apologize. But there is someone now. I don't know if you want to open it
Looks
up.
like Arlie's dog wants to comment.
Okay, we will open it up to we will reopen it for public comment at this time, Leslie.
Thank you, sir. Enrique Eckes, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. You can make your public comments up to 3 minutes.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Hi, good evening to everybody. This is Enrique Eckhouse, a project designer. I'm thinking that Roberto, the owner of the house, is on the meeting, but I don't know if he raised his hand. But I appreciate that if he also have some words on the project. But thank you. I listened to all the comments that you guys raised, and thank you for the compliments. I'm open to questions.
Actually, I think you were just about ready to get your wish here in just a minute. So unless you would like to talk some more on it, from what all the commissioners said, it's pretty well, they all like it.
Thank you, Mr. Ernest.
Okay, so with that, is there anybody else for public comment, Leslie?
No, sir. That's officially the last one.
Okay, we will close public comment and bring it back to commissioners. Okay, commissioners, we've basically said what we think. Can I get a recommendation or a motion? We can't hear you, Mr. Silva. I see you were talking though.
Thank you. I'm happy to make the motion to approve Board of Architectural Review application number BAR 20-12 for the remodel that we have just reviewed at 1180 Placer Street.
Very good. Can I get a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we need to go through roll call again?
Oh, yeah. Leslie?
Yes, sir. I saw hands from Mr. Nguyen, Mr. Lamica, Mr. Silva, Mr. Spalletta, Mr. Evans, and Chair Owens. The motion carries unanimously.
Very good. Okay, next item is, sorry, let me get back off the pictures and get back up to the top here. Was it the annual work date? There you go. Thank you, Beth, or Dana, whoever did that.
It was me, but Beth, are you taking lead on the item or?
I was trying to find the number for it here, but I don't find it. Do you remember what page it is, Leslie?
I don't, but I can find it. 1 second.
Starts on page 31 of the packet, if that's what you're looking for, Chair Owens.
Oh, thank you, sir. I can get it to quit rocking. Okay, approval of the Planning Commission's annual 2021 work plan for adoption by the City Council. Go ahead, Dana. Oh, I'm sorry. It doesn't show up on my screen who you are. I apologize for that.
Does Beth know that there's no sound, or is it just me?
No, I hear her. You don't hear her?
I
No,
don't
I don't.
hear. No.
Here. I hear her.
I hear everybody but her.
Same. That's very interesting.
Is she picking on you, Mr. Evans?
No, I'm sure it's Leslie. She loves to pick on me.
It's not me. I promise. No, that's very weird. I can't hear her either.
I can't hear her either.
Oh, now my heart just feels better.
She just dropped off, didn't she?
Must have, because I can.
I put her on hold and I brought her back in. I'm hoping it fixes the situation.
I
Beth,
hear you.
I don't hear her.
I hear her still.
Mr. Evans, do you hear her?
Beth or Dana?
Beth,
No, I do not hear Beth, only Dana.
same.
I hear both.
I don't hear her. I don't hear her, Beth.
I'm gonna check the YouTube feed.
Okay.
Beth is going to call in, and so we're going to pause to have her try that and hope that fixes it.
Dana, while she's doing that, I see that this is the bar work plan, which thank you for sending that, by the way. But so is this?
He said,
this where
not,
we're-
she asked you not to worry about it just now. She hopefully will be on. At least
Got it.
think
did
we're
you
having
hear that last part she said, Dave?
No,
Oh, she said it'll make sense in a minute. The way you answered, I thought, oh, he can hear now.
no. I just Dana had forwarded because I had asked her about the bar work plan, so she
Oh,
had
okay.
forwarded that to me. But when I saw it on the screen, it was like, oh, I guess we're starting that.
Hey, it's technology. If you want, I'll say hello, like I answered your phone.
Every other word.
Leslie, could you let Beth in? She's on the phone now.
Leslie, could you hear Dana?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Yeah, she should be able to unmute now.
All right. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes. Woohoo, success.
Okay. The bar work plan is in front of you because you might have been unaware of what they set out for some goals and objectives for last year. And some of these things are going to roll over, some of them won't. And we're going to have a discussion around that. So some things are still relevant, like the single family design guidelines. I question the relevancy of that, given that the form-based code is going to be hopefully adopted in the next 6 months. So do we want to expend the energy of updating that document when the form-based code has a lot of design elements in it to help guide good architectural design in Seaside? So if you just want to comment if you agree with that interpretation, or if you think that it's still of value to transfer this item over and work on that as a commission giving feedback to staff.
Yeah, if we're gonna redo it in 6 months, then I'm with you. Don't spend the energy.
Right.
That's my thought anyway. Other commissioners?
I have to agree.
I agree.
I concur.
I agree with that.
I think you're basically unanimous on the agreement there, Beth.
All right, moving on, update noticing procedures for residential projects and commercial projects. I'm personally not aware of what issues there may have been. I don't believe that we're having these issues. Leslie, you can chime in if you think something has been unaddressed or ignored in this time in between or during this transition. But that's something that I don't think needs to be transitioned over to the annual work plan.
See, to me, these are things that you look at more than we do. As far as the planning commission, I mean, if you can get your job done and it's unnecessary, why spend the energy? But that's just my opinion.
Well, on some of these, I agree with that take, but these were part of the bar work plan, so I didn't want to eliminate anything without getting consensus from the PC now.
And if I can chime in on this one, there was a little bit of angst or a little bit of frustration on behalf of the planning or the Board of Architectural Review because they weren't notified before some projects went forward, some city projects, and noticing became a very important issue for them. So I think it was just, they did it as a check to make sure that staff was continuing to notice as legally required, which we absolutely are now.
Okay, so we're good on that. That won't transfer over. Updating the bar application and the landscape checklist somewhat has been done. And then maybe tied in with the item below, updating the drought tolerant plat list. That is included in the form-based code as informed by work done by the Environmental Commission. But in reality, it's about us maybe notifying people when they come through at the discretionary level, going before you guys, and providing them with that information before they get down to the detail of a landscape design. Otherwise, the water district reviews those plans. They probably have their own recommended list. Can we make better suggestions? Sure. Would it be a major lift for us to do that in terms of providing a printout at a critical time in the project design? No. So that, in my mind, doesn't need to be transferred over either. We can just incorporate it into the information we provide to applicants.
Really quick, the only thing that I have with this, what I like about the landscaping checklist is, what happens when these things die 6-8 months later? Like I see at a lot of places that we've, looked at plants and stuff, what it's going to look like. And do we have anybody that checks this stuff to make sure that it stays living, or when it dies, it gets replaced? Is that something that could be in a checklist so that it could, we can know that what we're trying to get the affected look is still out there?
Right. I think with most projects that have landscape as a component, there's a condition of approval regarding the plant life surviving for probably about a year. We can modify that condition of approval, and we can maybe even have a replacement aspect of that condition in case like a tree doesn't last or has issues with not receiving enough water and its health is impaired, and removal is the best option. So we'll work on a condition of approval that's more specific to that and kind of put that up front and have it be very clearly known by the applicant.
Hi, Mayor, through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
This is Gloria Stearns, Community Development Director. We're looking at adding a position into our engineering department where they're going to be looking at some of these conditions that are on projects that we have and making sure that all the conditions are being complied with properly. So the city as a whole will be looking at more of these conditions a little more closely. I just wanted to let you know that that's something already on the team radar.
Very good.
Okay, moving on, updating the tree ordinance. I believe there's something similar listed on the next page, which was your work plan from last year, but we'll get to that. But I think this is going to be something that transfers over, even it's in Chapter 8, but there's value to us looking at this as a planning commission in a couple of ways. And in the item below, Planning Commission working with Neighborhood Improvement Commission to create awards. I think this is kind of hinting at what we'll see about having the Planning Commission engage more with other commissions. So having that cross-commission collaboration that helps us better inform the codes we update, like the tree ordinance.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, Beth. On the tree ordinance, do we look at trees that are not intrusive to the sidewalks and stuff in our area? Because that's one of the big problems we have in the city of Seaside is these lifting sidewalks because of the tree roots.
When you ask, do we look at that? Who are you asking about?
Well, when we look at these update tree ordinance, are we going to look at this further down the line, or were you talking about the paragraph right below it?
I'm talking about updating the tree ordinance as being something that we accomplish in probably the next year.
Oh, okay.
This year.
One thing that I would like to get on that tree ordinance, like I said, is non-intrusive roots that grow out, lift the sidewalk, lift the roadway, all that. There are trees that don't do that we can make sure that we have in our tree ordinance.
All right. That can definitely be incorporated. I've seen it done a few ways in a few different cities. they have a recommendation, even based on the strip that the tree is planted in between the sidewalk and the street, if that happens to be the case. And if it's 5 feet wide versus 3 versus 4, different species are recommended because they're not going to create that lift. That lift can also happen though because the tree is searching for water. And
Right.
that's something that we can maybe look at requiring more irrigation in the first years of establishment.
Very good.
So let's move on to the next slide, unless you want to say anything specific about that last item about collaborating with Neighborhood Improvement Commission for coming up with good design recommendations that we want to acknowledge for projects happening in the city.
Very good. No, I like that.
All right.
The house we just looked at would be a very good recommendation when it's done, from what it looks like
All
on
right,
the.
so we'll keep those last 2 items and we'll transfer those over to your work plan. Here was your work plan from last year. The first one, we had a lengthy discussion with you with the changes we modified to the fence code, and that is in progress. Hopefully you'll be considering that soon and making a recommendation to the city council. Last one, adopt accessory dwelling unit regulations. I would imagine that this direction would come from city council, and there were maybe a mention or 2 of it in the beginning. As far as the projects that Dana and myself have seen come through, they're complying with the state code. It's pretty flexible. We're not hearing much from neighbors concerns about what is being built, whether that be a single-story structure or a structure above a garage. People are kind of understanding how the city's advocating for these just because of the need for housing, affordable housing in California. So I don't know if we will at a certain point receive clear direction to maybe come up with something regarding height. I think that more comes from people voicing concerns about how it's changing maybe the character of a neighborhood or not, or maybe parking becomes an issue, but there's not much we can do with that when garage conversions are being encouraged for junior ADUs. So I think this item will take off of the work plan. And if we happen to get direction, it's not going to be on your work plan, but you'll be seeing it, and we'll definitely be doing a study session about it if it comes to that. Any thoughts?
Well, parking is a huge issue, especially if you walk around the streets in the city. But like you said, there's not much we can do because it's a state ordinance.
Right. Especially on that item. There are things that we can modify and there's things that we cannot touch, and parking is one of them.
Yep, unfortunately, they don't take in the intelligence of how hard it is for the fire trucks to get down some of our roads because of the parking.
Mm.
Anything, commissioners?
All right. Yeah.
I don't hear them talking. I hope they can still hear you.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Okay, here's a repeat. Both the BART and the PC had this on their work plan, amending the tree ordinance. The commission that has this on their responsibilities is the Park and Rec Commission. And the commission that has been a little bit more involved in it just due to the interest of the members has been the Environmental Commission. I have 2 Environmental Commission members who attend Park and Rec meetings pretty regularly, and they're starting that conversation with them. One of the members on the Park and Rec Committee is receiving funding to plant trees in parks, and she was getting species recommendations from the Environmental Commission. So we have that cross-commission work happening. One of the asks that I have of you, which is the very last item, is, and this doesn't have to happen tonight, but we can put it down, that collaboration will be a goal. But that might mean attending a park and rec meeting. It might mean going there and generating a conversation about this topic and reporting back to the planning commission. So our reports from commissioners section could be a little bit more informed in terms of helping us guide our work, plus also getting consensus from the other commissioners who volunteer for the city. So I'd like to hear kind of your thoughts on that, because it would be a little bit more of a time commitment, but as of now, most of the other commissions are meeting once a month. And although inconvenient for many other reasons, Zoom is pretty convenient that you're able to sit where you're comfortable and still participate. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on what commissions you might be interested in working with, if that sounds like something feasible, or if you just know right now it's not something that could fit within your schedule.
Commissioners?
I'm unusually busy right now, so I candidly have limitations on my availability, and at least until this student housing project I'm building is done. So I'd love to be more generous with my time, but I have some restrictions.
Any other commissioners?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Lamica.
Yeah, if we do this, I like to be go to the neighborhood improvement.
Nice, thank you.
And then you'll report back to us?
Correct.
What we can do to help? Perfect. Any other commissioners?
Chair, I would love to be involved in doing some of that. I think for me, it wouldn't be a commission choice as much as a topic choice. So, if we could be notified in advance of when they're going to have discussions, such as landscaping or trees or whatever, I'd be happy to join, but I don't want to just go to an arbitrary meeting when it may not be relevant to anything that we're doing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I was thinking along the same lines.
Yeah, I actually think what we do as staff is that we get in contact with the other staff liaison of that specific commission, and we put an item on their agenda for discussion. So either myself or Dana would be there to intro the topic. You would be there to represent the planning commission, and we could make a lot of progress.
Very good. Any other commissioners?
That sounds good. I agree with that.
Very good. I got one. What you mentioned a little earlier that we're planting more trees in the parks and stuff. How are we watering these?
That proposal specifically, the water truck is going to visit those sites. Sometimes it is already at a certain park because it's requested by community members who are taking care of that park, like members of Sustainable Seaside or FOSPA. And there is also funding for gator bags for the trees that will be planted.
Yeah, because as you know, I've probably heard me many times. I don't mean to reiterate myself, but we walk the city every day. And one of the biggest sores to me is when we're building new parks, when we can't take care of the parks we have. Between LaSalle and San Pablo, there's plenty of parks all the way up through there behind the homes and stuff like that, and they're all dead. The asphalt in them is all peeling up and cracked, and it's just heartbreaking. When I brought it to the commission years and years ago when I first joined, and it was because we were being fined for water, and so therefore we could not turn the water on that was in those parks, and so basically everything inside those parks have died other than the very large trees that are there. I just want to make sure if we're adding to our parks that this is something that's going to be kept up and not just done through, a small procession of time, and then we have these ugly things falling and everything because they're dying. What parks are we going to be planting trees in, if you could let me know, Beth?
I'll follow up with you on that later. I don't recall all the details of where they're going, but I do recall a lot of them are going into parks that are being cared for by FOSPA, as well as Environmental Commission members who have started native pollinator plantings in a couple of the parks and have been taking care of those for the last year. So yeah, volunteers make a huge difference in the city, like you on commission, to people who are out there getting dirt under their fingernails. So we're hoping to create something that is lasting with that and to start it in a responsible way right off the bat by providing it with a critical element like water.
Very good. Yeah, I would like it if you'd get back to me on that to see if any of these parks that are up in this area are even on that, because that was that whole where they put all the power lines underground and everything there between the two streets.
All right, yeah, I'll email you tomorrow after I follow up with Diane on the Parks Commission.
Very good. And as far as, I'd love to help you, but unfortunately my retirement's only lasted a year and I'm going back to work. So I'll have to see how my time is after that.
Sure, and this too is just also, you know, opening up for more communication with staff. If I send out an email, seeing if Dave wants to come along with me to the Park and Rec meeting about trees, then you can also provide your comments to him, your concerns through both of us. And yeah, let's just open it up that way and have the communication rolling between all of us.
Yeah, Dave and I were supposed to go on a tour with the engineer on some of these curbs and stuff and what they've done, but we never heard from them. Did you ever hear anything, Dave? Maybe nobody's here anymore. I don't have the pictures up any longer.
I was shaking my head.
Oh, now I got you back on screen. But yeah, I hadn't heard anything either. And I've still got a lot of questions about that when you walk, when the road is 7 inches below the gutter. I mean, I was a plumber, but usually you slope to something that you want to drain.
Is the one that's really interesting, I think, is Noche Buena in LaSalle?
Yep. Right.
I mean, it's
no, I know.
crazy.
I wanted to ask him about that because are they going to build the roads up? But that's another thing we want to let Dana get done with, I guess, with this work plan.
Dana, Beth, you know, same
sorry.
difference.
It's so hard because we don't see your name or your face up here.
Yeah, and I'm muted on the screen if you did see my name on the screen. So yeah.
Okay.
Onward. I will need help with this one because I do not recall what this is regarding. Conducting a sign code business survey. What is that about, commissioners?
I think that was about the some of these places after, you know, you give them the right sign and everything, they just put up signage all over the place.
If I may.
And the idea with a survey, was that a visual survey to see what was blatantly out of compliance or something else?
I believe that somebody wants to talk on that. Did I just not hear? Did I just hear a voice?
Yes, you did. This is Gloria.
Oh, hello, Gloria.
Hi. So, yeah, we started that already. So when we had staff before the layoffs, we did have people go out and they started surveying the businesses and taking pictures of the signs. And that was to look at enforcing the sign code a little bit more, and then also seeing, based on what we were looking at, what changes we might need to make or updates to the sign code. We had started that process, and we started with we started with our 10. So we started with our 10 worst offenders in the city, and then we started with our 10 best signs in the city. And then, sad to say, when we had to cut staff, the person who was working on that was released. And so that project hasn't gone anywhere at the moment. We have not been able to refill that position. So that position is still sitting open. But that would be something that I would say maybe we could keep on the list, and we would say budget dependent. So if in the end of June or July, when we get our new budget, we could see what positions might be allocated to our department, or if we're able to get interns or something to help us with that, and then we could take a look at it again.
I believe I remember us when we put this on here too, Gloria. It also had to do with the cannabis. They were supposed to look in because according to Monterey County law, cannabis is not allowed to advertise the product. They're able to put up their sign for their business, but they just got dinged on the 101 because they had billboards up.
Right, the billboard, there's California state law related to what freeways they can advertise. And we try to make sure that our internal to Seaside, that all of our billboards and the cannabis dispensaries are following the state and local codes. So we do keep an eye on them, and sometimes it is complaints based, like when a billboard was placed up, we did respond to that right away and it was taken down quickly.
Right. Yeah, because I had called in a couple times because they started putting up signs selling clones or something up on their wall. But very good. Anything else?
All right,
Beth?
we'll keep that on. Yeah, just moving on to the next item, the zoning code cleanup done as part of the general plan process. I don't know what was going on at this time. The form-based code is what we are working on. It is still what needs to be cleaned up. The zoning code as we know it in terms of Title 17 is going to be completely replaced. As far as that being on your work plan and your role in that, I believe you will be making a recommendation on that item. So when it comes up for the decision-making process, that will be something to provide feedback on. I don't know if that's something that we need to create like a subcommittee around, or if you're going to provide a heavier lift as commissioners regarding that, but I'll keep it in, and we will be contacting you for any guidance that we need, especially when coming up with potentially new use categories that might be more open to the changing economic landscape of new businesses that will be starting that maybe didn't exist pre-COVID even. So I'll keep that on and we'll be in touch. Gloria, do you want to say anything about the general plan update and how you think the Planning Commission might be involved in that beyond part of the approval process?
Sure. We're going to be talking about the general plan update at the council meeting on March 4th. So I'd encourage you to watch that one. If you're not going to be watching it on Thursday night, it's always available on YouTube for you. But what we're going to do is we'll be talking about how do we finish our general plan. So our document was created for the plan. Oh geez, it was in about 2017 was the first document completion. So the Planning Commission, has been a while since you've seen these documents, and then they came through in 2018, and they kind of went into some legal review, and that was because of some of the changes that came up with Campus Town and development on Fort Ord, and especially as it related to water issues. So the general plan was kind of back burner while some of these issues were settled by several lawyers. So you haven't heard anything on the general plan in a while because it's been on a shelf being reviewed. And now we are taking this back and breathing some life into it, but because it's 2021, and when we put this document together, it was 2017, basically, some of it has gotten a little stale, so we need to refresh parts of it. Some legislation has changed, so we need to add pieces to it. And we're going to be looking at doing sort of a combination of things, having consultants working with staff to get some of these things moving a little faster. We have direction to try to get this done by the end of the year. The approvals process is long in this, and we may get it done at the end of the year. It may go to first quarter 2022, but we really are trying to get it done as quickly as possible. I would envision the Planning Commission getting involved in a number of ways. Once we get this planning document kicked off again, and this effort is really moving forward again, I think it would be worth hearing from the planning commissioners just to see what are some issues that you've had on your mind since then, because it's been a while since we talked about this topic. So it might just be good to come here and have a discussion with you to say, what are some of the things that we know that we need to do for updates for the law? What are just some things that are on your mind in general, and just sort of help refresh this together as a group. And we're supposed to get a lot of community input, and this group is amazing with the input that you give us. I mean, listen to what you've already given us just tonight for the work plan. This is great. So that's kind of the update on the general plan. We will be circling back to you, but I would also welcome to hear if you have any suggestions for me to consider as especially as I'll be going in front of council on next week, Thursday. So thank you in advance for your thoughts.
Very good. Okay, Beth,
Yes, sir.
there you are. You want to
Thanks,
continue?
Gloria. The last two items, pursue education opportunities, that was on. I don't know if due to COVID that happened. I do remember Medina calling around to see if anybody wanted to go up north on a weekend, which didn't seem feasible, but I could see more opportunities being available, especially via Zoom. Also, more sharing of relevant articles by staff to the Planning Commission, and then just trying to engage and have quorum respected Brown Act conversations as much as we can. And then ending again with the collaboration with other boards and commissions. We discussed that already. I have enough on that to move forward with incorporating that element into your annual work plan. So thank you. And the next slide, specific amendments coming up. Food trucks, council wants to see something sooner than later. This is for food trucks that will be operating in the public right of way, not for ones that you've seen applications for operating on private property, which will still require a use permit. Cannabis updates are being looked at. There's been a handful of our retail businesses that have changed ownership, and with that ownership change, we're hoping to kind of update and get more specific community benefit directions, outlines specific to the new businesses that is the new business that is coming in, to hold them accountable, to start tracking that. Also potentially looking at the license type 12, which is micro business, which would allow for a cannabis business, for example, if it's existing retail, that they could have cultivation of less than 10,000 square feet, and also be a distributor or manufacturer. So they have to have 3 of those elements to be considered a micro business. And how would that affect the landscape of the city or not? It's just something we're going to have a discussion on before it even gets to the point of being considered by you, our council.
On that, can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
When you talk about the cannabis, are you talking about the stores that sell the stuff could grow it too?
The micro business license does allow for that. Whether or not we allow for that type of operation in our city is the question.
Yeah, I just see that as a way of basically putting the fox in the charge of the hen house there, because you have no way to tell what kind of weight you're getting out of the grower, and your taxes rely obviously on what you sell there. I really want to look at that carefully. You know, when you
we're going to look at that carefully. We're going to see if any other cities have done it yet, and what could be the potential, just even taxable benefits to the city. Of course, there's way more things to be concerned about when expanding or allowing for the possible expansion of a business, when all those things currently are separate and require minor use permits, and some of them aren't even allowed in certain zones in the city. So a lot to consider.
Yeah, and when you do look at that, let's really look at what Greenfield, I think, is going through with that. The smell that comes across the area has really been horrendous up there when they allow the grows to be that close to the residentials, and within our city, I don't see that happening.
All right, thanks for that input. Anybody else want to just raise any quick ideas, concerns about cannabis in the city now that we're here?
I don't have any concerns, but I'm having camera problems, so that's why you can't see me on the link.
All right, thank you.
Good.
Okay, moving on then.
You betcha.
large family daycares need to be amended in our code because our code is not at all consistent with the state code. And we were running through a permit, but that got delayed for other reasons. But essentially, our process is a bit more restrictive than necessary, as well as the public noticing distance is greater than what the state says it can be. So that will be an update that will be coming through soon. And then finally, small lot development standards, which actually existed in the zoning code up, I think, from 1980 to 2006. And in a conversation I had with now retired Rick Medina, he said that those changes were kind of lumped into a bunch of other code amendments that were done at that time. It was kind of slid in. Community really didn't notice that it was being done because it wasn't a one-off. And we do have a variance coming up at our special meeting on March 10th for a development on a small lot. So we'll see how specific development standards might make sense in our city, or they might not. Whether or not we consider a variance fee for somebody developing a vacant parcel when we want to have development on our vacant parcels instead of a piece of land. Whether or not that is, quote unquote, fair to somebody.
Are we talking commercial or residential?
Residential.
Can we look at the small lot on commercial also? I think that would benefit the city tremendously. For instance, right there alongside Starbucks Market on Del Monte, you have that small lot that's so small that they say they can't do. We shouldn't have that within our downtown areas. We should have lots that we can do things with. And maybe that's where we need to get a little more creative with the code so that we can develop those lots that are in our commercial zones.
Yeah, I've been a little curious about that lot next to the liquor store in the corner of Fremont and Sonoma.
Where they do the barbecuing all the time.
Sonoma.
Go ahead, Danny.
Well, I think, yeah, we should look into that small lots, all those smart lots around the cities, especially in the business area that has parcel and it has a tax assessed to it. So I think it's a good idea to, look at that and see if we can improve those lots, put just, building stores, something that could create jobs or bring in tax revenue. So.
Thank you. Anything else, commissioners? Okay, back to you, Beth.
All right, thank you. Next slide. So these are some of the elements that I came up with just in terms of looking at the last bar work plan and at your work plan. I'm going to incorporate these into your annual work plan as well as what we discussed. So there will be a couple more items on there. Next slide. Recommendation is that you approve the annual work plan for consideration by the City Council, and that includes items and modifications discussed that I'm going to be populating into your work plan.
Commissioners, anything for staff? No.
I have a question. Could I talk about the cannabis that you were talking about? I don't. I'm doing a business, so I'm not sure if it's going to be conflict of interest. But I just want to get my thoughts about the micro business, if that's possible.
Please do. You're not voting on anything right now.
All right, so here it is. Cannabis, it's changing so fast now. You need to be vertical integrated in order to survive, because right now retail they can open a retail, but if you can't have products to sell, you're in trouble. So that's why some of the our retail cannabis are failing, because they have no products to what do you say, to compete with other retail around our city. Eventually, Monterey is going to have it, Marina, you know, and you got to be vertical integrated. People say, oh, let's give, I want retail, but you have retail. It's like, what are you going to do with it? Where's the products that you're going to sell? How you can compete with other retail that has vertical integrated, like micro business that can grow and manufacture. So you're in trouble. So that's why lots of retailers are failing, because you need to, just like a restaurant, you need to create your own food item that you can sell. You can't just open a restaurant and then buy a food from somebody else and try to sell it and make a profit. It's the same concept in cannabis now. Everything's going vertical. Like I told a long time ago, it's going to happen, and you need to be vertical integrated. So in order for our retail to survive, they need to find a way to make their own product, to compete, to keep their costs down, and have that variety that people want and the quality that people want. So it's not open a retail and you are millionaire. It's not that. You open a retail, but you need to have to cook it. You have to create your product to sell, to be successful. And that's why some of our business are failing, because of that, which I've been pushing for. I have the warehouse right there on Santa Barbara that I planned a long time ago. I pushed this cannabis, this plan for our city to create taxes, jobs a while back, before it didn't ever happen, because I saw the potential of Seaside competing and generating taxes and creating jobs. And I had the warehouse on Santa Barbara. It's zoned, it's away from residents. You can't smell, the resident won't smell. All across the street is just the car dealer. And I planned it so hard. And for the 2017 council member to deny that is heartbreaking. And now, it's up to the new council member to do something about it. Because in order for us to generate more taxes and create more jobs, you need playmakers. You need people that knows this industry and compete with Monterey, Delray Oaks, Salinas, Marina. Who knows who's coming, other competition coming. And you need people that can compete with them to generate taxes for our city. And, I was heartbroken. And I hope that the council can do something, because I'm bringing in a team right now that can do it, can generate taxes for us to compete. And people say that, open another retail is going to affect other retail next door. But that's wrong. Because what we're doing is retailing across California from north to south. That's where expanding our product is. With a retail, we can sell it to San Diego, Northern California. That's our idea, not just, generate taxes inside our city, but outside our city. That's how you survive in this industry. Not just think about, we're gonna have retail and then, have Delray Oaks customer come, Seaside, Monterey. No. It's not gonna happen. You gotta disperse your merchandise throughout California. In order to do that, you have to have your own product to compete. That's why one or two of our city retails are surviving, because they got the vertical integrated. And who is failing? The people and flipping or selling the licenses right now are people that doesn't have the vertical integrated micro business. They have no manufacturing, no extraction, no cultivation, all of that. But in order for us as a successful cannabis business, you got to be vertical now, because it's going to be legalized federally. so much billions of dollars investing right now. You know, companies are merging, and for us to try and protect some of the retail here, oh, there's so many, is wrong. They're going to go out of business no matter what. No matter what, other retail is going to, you know, other shops is going to not open or open. You have to have the vertical integration in order to survive.
All right,
Just like
Danny.
restaurant. Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Danny. I'm sure you could school us all on the state of cannabis in California. But looking at micro businesses is something that we're going to be looking at. Whether or not it makes it to a certain point or not is still to be seen, and there's a lot to consider. So appreciate the input from all the commissioners on this topic, and concerns are valid both for the small businesses that have established in Seaside as well as for respecting the residential character of Seaside and how certain do have an impact on that. So I appreciate it. Can we get a motion?
Can we get a motion to approve? I'm sorry, my other screen went out. You're a good storyteller there, Danny. You had me. Let's see here. A motion to approve the general. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. It floats everywhere. The fiscal year work plan. Can I get a motion? Any commissioner can do it.
I so move. I make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Leslie?
Okay, for the record, I saw hands from Mr. Owens, Mr. Evans, Mr. Silva, and Mr. Spalletta. Mr. Lamica is raising his hand now. Commissioner Wynn, since your video's off, is that a yes or a no?
Yes. Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Very good.
Can I ask a quick question? Did we have public comment on that?
No, we did not.
We may want to reopen it.
I will reopen it. And Leslie, is there anybody for public comment on the fiscal year work plan?
We do have one member of the public, Mr. Alex Miller. You can unmute yourself and speak for up to 3 minutes.
Mr. Chair, don't forget the public.
I am so sorry on that, sir. I'd asked earlier, they said there was no public.
That's okay. I came in late. I'm sorry, folks. Nice to be here at the Planning Commission. My name's Alex Miller. I'm the chairman of the Neighborhood Improvement Commission. I was so thrilled to see our name on your slides. I'm shocked. I'm very happy about that. I can't wait to have a collaboration with you guys. We would love for Commissioner Lamica to come join us. Your vice chair of the Planning Commission has my contact information. So does the city. Please send me a message at any time. There was discussion about trees. The Neighborhood Improvement Commission did get an allotted amount of money from TOT tax on Airbnb, and we allocated $3,500 to the Parks and Rec Commission to plant trees at the Highland Otis Park. Mr. Chair, I share the similar values as you with our parks. Our parks need rehab and they need attention. And the NIC is working closely with the Parks and Rec and diverting some of the money that we have towards our parks. So one of the projects that we're working on is the bridge on San Pablo and the parks to the right and the left of the bridge. And so we desperately would like to help with the parks, and any help we can get with the Planning Commission would help us. The park that I'm speaking of is the Cunningham Park on the left-hand side of San Pablo. And then Noche Buena and La Salle was brought up by a commissioner. I would love to talk with you more about that project. We might have some funds to help with that. And lastly, I just wanted to point out that the Neighborhood Improvement Commission used to be called the Neighborhood Improvement Program, Neighborhood Improvement Commission Program. And 2 years ago, we took off the name program. It was approved by our commission, and then it went to the city council. And I believe the name was changed, and the name now is Neighborhood Improvement Commission. So if your work plan could reflect our proper name, that would be much appreciated. We look forward to working with you. And thank you, Chairman, for the time, and have a great.
Very good, Mr. Miller. Where are you putting the trees, did you say? What Highland Park?
Highland Otis.
Is that the new development area?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is Highland. Yeah, it's over there. I think it's by the Nations Market. if you're familiar with that area.
No, I don't know where that market's at. Very good. Well, thank you. And I am sorry that I missed you as far as public comment went. My bad.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
You bet. Anybody else for public comment, Leslie?
Mr. Chair, no, there are no other public comments.
Okay, we will close public comment on the fiscal year work plan and bring it back to Beth, I believe.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, very good. I just want to make sure we didn't cut you off, Beth. Okay, reports from commissioners.
I had an item. May I speak?
Absolutely, sir.
I'm wondering if the city's having an issue. I don't know if the popularity of these is growing. I know in my neighborhood, we're having an issue with electric go-karts being driven on city streets. And, there's a group of kids in our neighborhood, 4 or 5 of these will be zipping around the streets at the same time, going through intersections. They stand about 2 feet off the ground. And I'm just in a panic about somebody backing out of a driveway and crushing some 12-year-old kid, who's below their bumper and can't be seen. The people who drive these are reporting that these are street legal, or that they are they're electric scooters or electric bikes. They're in that category, and therefore they are allowed on the streets, and that they cannot be enforced. And so I know for myself, also our homeowners association, we're really puzzled by this, because it just seems like a disaster waiting to happen. I'm just wondering if the city is experiencing this in any other neighborhoods, what the city's response is, because I know we're experiencing the whole multimodal transit, experience with e-bikes and Lime scooters and all of this, but these little go-karts are so low and they seem so dangerous. So I don't know if staff can speak to that at all.
Will, can I jump in for just a
Oh,
second?
yeah, please.
And add a little bit. Deputy Chief Velos, I think that's how you pronounce your last name, and I spoke for quite a while 2 weeks ago, and we went through the code. We went through all the arguments, pro and con, on whether they're legal or not. She was not convinced that they were prohibited, but she did promise to take it to city attorney, get a legal opinion on it. So I'm waiting for that response. It's surprising to me that it's a question, because the code is really clear, but there may be a clawback, or there may be a civil case out there that neither the deputy chief nor I know about, but that's what we want to find out. I don't know if that helps.
It has to do with the CC size of the engine.
Actually, it doesn't, and that's where the confusion comes in. That's for off-road, if you want to get the green sticker. And so everybody's getting all that confused with what the code clearly says. The code basically says if it's a moving vehicle, I'm just generalizing here, then it has to be licensed if it's going to be on a public street. That's the way the code starts. So if you've got that blanket statement, there has to be a clawback someplace, either again through some civil case or some other code. But yeah, the off-road stuff, that's irrelevant to whether it can be on a public street.
Yeah, because I had the same problem in our neighborhood. They were buzzing, and they were called those pocket bikes.
Yeah.
And the police told me they were legal, that they were under the CC. And yeah, I'm with you. They're a nuisance.
So we'll see what the city attorney says.
Yeah.
I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you pretty clearly what the code says, and I haven't found a clawback anywhere for it.
The wife and I ate at Jose's yesterday at lunchtime, and there's a guy, I guess there's an RC car shop on that one side of the street. There's ripping up and down the street into traffic and everything, these small little race cars. that are remote control. And I mean, this thing had to do over 100 miles an hour because I mean, it was gone so fast. I'm with you on this stuff. It's like this whole evolving of remote control, electric, and we'll see where it goes.
The officers that I've talked to, if the legal opinion comes back, no, that we can't prohibit them, then the next step is a municipal code, and we'd have to take that to the city council.
And think of speed bumps.
Well, I'll just tell you, when you've got 4 little preteen boys or girls zipping around our traffic circles and up and down the hills and going right past driveways with cars parked on either side of the driveway approach. My daughter is a driver and she drives a small car. She's been frightened several times as people have zipped in front of her. And I drive a truck. I mean, I would absolutely crush somebody. And there's no way of seeing them unless you have a sensor on your back bumper, but there's just no way of seeing them, even if you're pulling out forward and they come from behind a car. So I'm looking at this as, you know, a matter of public safety. You know, somebody's going to get, it's not going to be a small accident. It's going to be a catastrophic accident. And I'm extremely troubled by seeing these kids zipping around with impunity, and no regard for, you know, any rules. And then the parents are absolutely asserting a defense that this is absolutely allowed. And I'm just, you know, I hope that if it's not clear, if the legal opinion isn't clear, I'm hoping that the city might take some action municipally to, you know, to protect.
Make a code that it's not legal.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be a licensed vehicle in our city streets. It seemed like it'd work, but.
Which is what the code actually says.
I agree.
Very clear.
Anything else, commissioners?
The only other thing is I've been noticing that, you know, the homeless encampments, especially along Caltrans, man, they're getting worse and worse. And I've reported, and I get, you know, emails back that say, thank you. You know, we have a lot of reports and we have other priorities that are more important. But, you know, unfortunately it just.
Well, our bike path. You can't even use our bike path from Seaside to Marina because you're afraid you're going to get mugged if you go out there walking. Yeah. And that's sad that it's like that. But no, I'm with you on that. My wife and I came in from Marina and saw that right when you come into Seaside, there's just a whole cluster to the right. And then there's one that's behind the actual pillar of the overpass. And just junk stored up all in through there too. But we talked about it last time and they said it's Caltrans's problem, not ours.
And it's starting to border on structures. You know, some of these things have gotten built so much that they could be a fire trap. They could be a structure that, you know, collapses on somebody. I mean, it's not just tents anymore. We're getting.
No, I hear you. It's scary.
So that's all I got.
Anything else from commissioners? How about staff? Do we have any reports from staff?
This is Gloria Stearns. I do not.
Oh, I have a question for you, Gloria. You would know you couldn't get out that easy.
All right, hey, what you got?
Broadway project for first one. How are we looking at that? Is that going to take off any time? Or I know the property got sold and.
Oh yeah, the Ascent project. Sure. So, at the last council meeting, we did a presentation, we being Nisha Patel, the city engineer, and I did a presentation on economic development. So if you missed that meeting, that's actually worth going back and just watching the PowerPoint to see what's going on. The project that you're referencing is the Ascent project at Broadway and Terrace. And we expect the grading to get started on that in about April of this year. And that should be done and ready for construction at the first quarter, or actually in about April of 2022. So, and that will be a modular construction, so it'll go up pretty fast once we do get it moving. So it's something kind of exciting to look forward to. Also, you might start to hear rumblings that we're optimistic and we're crossing our fingers and hope you all join us in that effort. for receiving a grant again, so we can continue the Broadway street work going up the hill instead of just having it down at our lower Broadway. So that plus the Ascend development would just be fantastic for our city.
Very good. How is the one over by the college going, or by the old hospital there? DOD?
The Nurses Barracks project?
No, the student, what are you, I can't remember what you're
Campus
calling
Town.
it. What's
Oh, yeah.
that? Yeah, Campus Town. Thank you.
Campus Town, yeah. Yeah, so Campus Town is going to be moving forward. We had some initial litigation on that, and we've received some positive news on that front. So we look forward to that, making some progress.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioners, anything for staff?
Through the chair, can I make a few reports?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, there you are.
Hello. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, Glory had mentioned the last council meeting, they had provided an outstanding update on all the different economic development happening in the city. It's at the beginning of the meeting. Please take a look at it. Also at that meeting, our finance director provided a quarterly financial report, which is pretty enlightening. And I think if you can hang through that presentation too, I think it's really beneficial to
It's
see
dry.
the financial health of the city. For our next council meeting, on not this, well, this next one, we're going to be actually having a conversation about accessory dwelling units, our mobile ones, the demonstration project, which will be good, and then some visioning for some other housing. So, but on the 18th, I wanted to let you know that there will be presentation, or the city council will be considering a graffiti abatement ordinance, kind of strengthening some of the regulations to for property owners to take care of graffiti quickly, as well as penalties for those that are caught doing graffiti. And then they'll also be addressing the food truck ordinance. So that's coming forward. At the last meeting, the city council adopted an urgency ordinance prohibiting any food truck applications for 45 days. So they're gonna, I believe, extend it, or at least discuss extending it on March 18th. Two more things. So the vaccine rollout through the county has been a little bit slow getting amped up, mostly almost exclusively due to lack of supply. So the vaccines are provided to the states give them to the counties, and then the counties distribute them out. Monterey County has been petitioning because they don't feel that they've been getting a fair share of vaccine doses in comparison to other counties. As you saw in Santa Clara County and some of the northern counties, they were holding mass vax events. You could just walk up clinics. It just seemed like they had much more availability. And so that led our county, a lot of people to think it was just bureaucracy, but truly it was a lack of supply. So the Board of Supervisors and all of the cities were petitioning to get increased supplies for a variety of reasons. And this next week, they've increased our supply. We just got a report that we're going to get over 10,000 doses this week. So that's up 114% from our previous distribution. So you're going to start seeing more availability.
Will that change the tiers as well?
They put out a new schedule for the tiers, I think starting on March 13th. Sorry, I can see the graphic image in my mind.
The 17th.
Yeah, the 17th. They're going to be increasing to the next tier. I think it's going to be 65 and older, and then anyone 18 and over that have medical, specific underlying medical conditions that'll be eligible for the vaccines. So we're Monterey County website, they just redid their website. There's a lot of great information on it. We don't need to redo it because they're actually keeping it updated every day. They're starting to provide more demographic information. One thing we've been reaching out for is trying to understand Seaside specific information, but they haven't been tracking the city to date when people get their vaccines. So they're going to be doing that in the near future. And then the last thing I have is please remember to get your Form 700s in if you haven't already.
Oh, we'll do that.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything that our city can do to get a site set up for people that are having hard time. I mean, I'm coming on 66. I just now got my 93-year-old mother-in-law her shot 2 weeks ago. That's how hard it was. And the site slammed shut so fast because the form that you have to fill out is 2 pages. Well, by the time you click submit, it tells you, sorry, somebody else had that site already, and it knocks you out, and then you end up, I mean, it's just crazy. I think that it would sure be nice if our city had a place where people could sign up and then truly get the vaccine from it, instead of trying to hit these sites. And like you said, they're just overran trying to get through to them. And wife and I were signed up for Friday. We just got a call today telling us, oh, unfortunately, we didn't have that. It was for second shot only. And so meanwhile, a whole week and something goes by before they announce this kind of stuff. But it definitely needs to be better from a older person side, you know, to open it up when you haven't gotten those other people even vaccinated yet that are over the 75. You know, they keep talking about this, but these people are having a heck of a time getting online, and I am one of them.
Yeah, we're recognizing there's a lot of barriers. There's barriers for people who have challenges with technology. The process is very cumbersome. There's people who have language issues. And then when you get to the sites, there's people who have physical access issues. Like especially if you're trying to get a 93-year-old person, like, to be able to mobilize and get to a facility, there has to be serious levels of assistance for this. So those are all barriers that we are working through. We're working through it on the county level, on a peninsula level, and on a city specific level. Our new fire chief is really kind of spearheading that. And Gloria is also working on that as well. Working with the Visiting Nurses Association, who's actually has a clinic on March 12th at the Victory Temple. And Gloria, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, so this item, we actually received funds from the federal government, from Housing and Urban Development through the CDBG CV funding to help us with this. So we have about $250,000 to help us with vaccination issues alone. And we've been talking to a number of people, and we have a pretty robust proposal that we're going to be making at council on March 4th. And that will involve not only partnering with the VNA, but one of their partners is called Alliance on Aging. And they can help people get enrolled into the program, because we recognize that this technology familiarity is something that's a challenge for people, especially of a certain demographic. And so we're looking at ways that we can make that earlier. So I would say watch what happens on March 4th. If this is something that you want to weigh in on, remember to make public comment to reinforce that some of these services are valued in our community. You're certainly welcome and encouraged to do that.
Yeah, and one of the things, like Leslie said, is Santa Cruz got more vaccinations than Monterey County, and it's so much smaller and less people. It's just ridiculous. We need to let our supervisors and all of them know that this is not acceptable. It should go to how many people you have in a county, not how many hospitals you have within the county that can get you more vaccines. That's BS.
So there's been a good, I think you're going to be really happy that that's exactly what happened over the last couple of weeks. And I just got the notice before the meeting that 114% increase. And I'm so pleased. It's because of the advocacy on behalf of people just like you. And one thing I wanted to mention that is a resource, and please share this message. Monterey County had awarded $3.9 million to the Community Foundation to assist with all of this kind of things. And one thing that if you need help registering, or if you need help trying to find information, they're trying to push everyone to 211. If you call 211, they will have people available to help you register for the vaccine if it's available. They'll tell you where you can get it. They can give you information on testing, and they can actually walk you through the process, and they will register you for any sites that are coming up. Now, it's not perfect yet. They're working on it, they're heavily investing in it. But that is a resource that's, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I think they're working on 7 days a week. So
do we have any input to what goes into those? Because the way that I see it, a very easy fix for it is when you click on the time, you have locked the time until you fill out the paperwork. not have 10 people lock on a time, and then you all hit it, and by then all the appointments are full all the way down the list. If they would let you lock into the appointment, fill out your paperwork, it would be a done deal.
I know what, I think it's supposed to be coordinated through a state registration system, but
Yeah,
there,
it is. It's single something or other.
yeah, so I know that for the Visiting Nurses Association, they held a clinic a week and a half ago, and they'll have another one in March. You can just call Victory Temple and they'll register you over the phone.
Okay, I'll give it a try. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so I think it's March 12th and 13th. They may be one day, it may be 2 days, but definitely keep March 12th down. Call Victory Temple if you want to register. We want to make sure and get as many people as you can to call them, because we want to make sure that they know that there is a huge need here. They tried to set up a 2-day clinic. They didn't get enough appointments. They also told us not to advertise. So we want to make sure they know that the need is great here in Seaside. And so
just call Victory Temple then?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because what happens too is when they butt you out of that, when your time limit, you got to start all over again and fill your whole application out. Then you hit submit again and it tells you that time's gone already. It's just so frustrating.
Leslie, can I back you up to the graffiti thing for a second?
Yes, sir.
One of the things I thought after the council meeting was it might be, from a public relations standpoint, it might be good to make that the ordinance applies to the city as well.
For city property?
Yeah. So in other words, we're going to require the businesses to do this work, if I understood the gist of what the presentation was about.
Well, the intent of the ordinance was the process as it's codified right now. It takes an inordinate amount of time to be able to enforce the fixing of graffiti on private property. It's some astronomical term. Like, we can't do anything for, I think they have almost up to 3 months. And specifically with gang related graffiti, the faster, the better. It's kind of like it somehow multiplies on its own. It's amazing. So the true intent of this was to speed up the process. And if they weren't going to respond, the city was going to respond and paint over it and then just charge the property owner.
Right, but what I'm saying is the same rule should apply to the city.
Well, the city should have a policy that graffiti is taken care of instantaneously.
If that were in the ordinance, I think it would be an easier sell to the businesses.
Okay.
So just throw that out.
That's a good tip. Okay, I'll mention it and we'll take a look at it this week. Thank you.
Anything else for staff? Do I have a motion to dismiss, adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
You
Good night,
too.
Everybody.
Good night. Good night. Good
Hey,
night.
Leslie, one last, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh,